And obviously, the close results in Iowa are going to impact strategy for the GOP candidates as they head into the next week's primary here in New Hampshire.
We're going to check in Des Moines, Iowa now, where we find CBS News political director John Dickerson, who's got the latest from the Rick Santorum camp, chief political correspondent Jan Crawford, who's been following the Mitt Romney campaign, and correspondent Wyatt Andrews, who's been tracking Ron Paul. We're going to begin with John Dickerson, though. And John, it looks like the evangelicals definitely came out tonight. According to the entrance polls, 57% of the voters affiliated themselves as evangelicals, and they must have been the key to Santorum's close second, because 33% of them said they voted for him.
That's right. Well, it was one of the questions of this caucus was, would the evangelical voters come out the way they did in 2008? And they did, and that matters because, as you and Jim were asking Governor Romney, evangelical voters will play a big role in South Carolina. Santorum also won with conservatives. Those who picked true conservatism as their number one issue that they voted on picked Santorum by a big margin, and Mitt Romney only got 1%. That's what Santorum is paying attention to now, arguing he's the true conservative in the race, trying to coalesce all of that support.
Let's bring in chief political correspondent Jan Crawford right now. Jan, the Romney campaign must be feeling very comfortable given how strong they're polling in New Hampshire. So is the attention actually on South Carolina now?
Well, right now they're focused on the fact that they actually won South Carolina, something no one would have predicted just a month or two ago because they'd kept expectations so low here. So the mood in the Romney camp right now is extremely positive. They think they're in good position in New Hampshire, and then they're going to be spending time actually in South Carolina this week to get that campaign underway. So I think the way they are thinking right now is that this is going even better than they would have expected. They're going into New Hampshire with that commanding lead. They're going to duck down to South Carolina on Thursday, spend Friday there, and then go back to New Hampshire over the weekend. They've got a long-term strategy, as Governor Romney told you, and they're putting into place now.
Right, and let's go to Wyatt Andrews because he's with Ron Paul, who did surprisingly well in Iowa. He's second here in New Hampshire, but it's a distant second. Wyatt, can he replicate his performance in Iowa here or anywhere else?
You know, that's very, very unclear, Nancy, because last night he got a devoted campaign organization to turn out, an organization that was driven largely by young people. Young people in Iowa, it turns out, are very afraid of the national deficit, and Ron Paul has the strongest message saying that he will tackle the national deficit. But there is a big difference between the 21% he got here last night and the 16% where he's polling in New Hampshire. He's not a typical politician, and that's probably his problem. He's not a typical Republican. If you cut all foreign aid, that cuts foreign aid to Israel. Religious conservatives don't like that. If you withdraw all U.S. forces, mainstream Republicans don't want that because they want a more muscular American foreign policy. But he does leave Iowa claiming this third spot, and he has the money in the organization, Nancy, to go forward in the Republican primaries on this different message.
One quick one back to John Dickerson. John, as people are trying to get their arms around what happened in Iowa, is Rick Santorum Mike Huckabee in 2012, or is this race now a longer extended campaign?
Well, he's sort of a little Huckabee. He had got a lot of support from evangelicals and conservatives, but in a way, this was also part of the anti-Mitt Romney feeling that we've seen as Republicans have cycled through the Republican candidates. And Rick Santorum worked very, very hard in Iowa. You can't take that away from him. But he also was lucky. His timing was great, and he was the last man standing in terms of those non-Mitt Romney candidates.
Well, John, Jan, Wyatt, in a chilly Des Moines this morning, thanks to all of you.